On a desolate stretch of highway, under the unblinking eye of a half-moon, a solitary figure trotted with determination. The asphalt was cool under the paws of the golden retriever, who had been walking for hours. Cars whizzed by, their headlights painting fleeting portraits of the dog's weary expression. Each one brought a flicker of hope, but none of them stopped. The dog's eyes searched the horizon for any sign of respite, but the road was endless. The golden retriever's tail wagged feebly as it spotted a car in the distance, slowing down. Its heart raced in anticipation, but the car did not stop. Instead, it swerved and hit the dog, the thud echoing through the quiet night. The car sped away, leaving the creature lying on the cold ground, whimpering in pain. The dog struggled to get up, but its legs gave out. The pain was intense, but the mother's instinct was stronger. The puppy was waiting. As the minutes ticked by, the sound of another engine grew closer. This time, the car did not zoom past. It pulled over to the side of the road, its tires screeching against the gravel. A man in a worn leather jacket stepped out, silhouetted by the car's interior lights. He approached the injured dog cautiously, his footsteps echoing in the silence. Kneeling down, he offered a gentle touch, and the dog flinched but did not growl. The man could see the intelligence in the creature's eyes, a silent plea for help. He took out a water bottle from the car, the plastic crunching as he unscrewed the cap. The dog's tongue lapped at the water greedily, and the man's concern grew as he assessed the injuries. The dog's back leg was clearly broken, and it was losing a worrying amount of blood. With a sigh, he grabbed a first aid kit from the trunk, his mind racing with the limited options he had. Carefully, he wrapped the wound, applying pressure to stem the flow. The dog yelped but remained still, its eyes never leaving the man's face. The dog's gaze shifted to a path leading to an abandoned house, its eyes pleading. The man followed the unspoken cue, limping alongside the dog as it painfully dragged itself towards the dilapidated structure. As they approached, the retriever's whimpers grew louder, and the man's curiosity piqued. What could be so important that this creature would endure such pain to reach? The house loomed before them, its windows like hollow sockets in a skeletal face. The dog led him to a well, its desperation palpable. Peering into the dark abyss, the man could just make out the tiny form of a puppy, shivering and scared, its cries for help echoing up from the depths. The man's heart sank. He had no rope, no gear for such a rescue, just the flashlight on his keychain. Yet, the thought of leaving the puppy there was unbearable. He took a deep breath, trying to compose himself as he assessed the situation. The well was old, the stones around it crumbling with age. The dog watched him intently, as if understanding the gravity of the situation. With a nod to the retriever, he began to search the area for something, anything that could serve as a makeshift rope. A few minutes later, the man emerged from the shadows, a torn piece of cloth and a sturdy branch in hand. He fashioned a crude harness around the dog's waist, tying knots as tight as he could manage. The dog seemed to understand, offering its assistance by standing as still as possible. With the flashlight in his mouth, the man climbed onto the edge of the well, his stomach turning at the thought of what lay below. The pup's cries grew more frantic as it sensed its mother's distress, and the retriever looked up at him with unwavering trust. He leaned over the edge, lowering the branch down into the blackness. The pup barked excitedly, and the man could see its tiny paws scrambling for purchase. With a prayer for luck, he began to lower the branch inch by inch. The dog's tail wagged vigorously as the branch reached the puppy's trembling paws. The pup looked up, its eyes reflecting the moonlight, full of hope and fear. The man whispered reassurances, his voice a soothing balm to the trapped creature. The pup took a tentative step and the branch held firm. Slowly, the man began to pull the branch back up, the puppy's weight a testament to its will to live. The retriever watched, panting with excitement, and the man felt a bond forming between them that transcended species. The rescue was fraught with tension, each second feeling like an eternity as the man carefully guided the branch upwards. The pup's cries grew fainter, then stronger, until finally, it was within reach. With a gentle tug, he lifted the tiny body over the edge of the well. The mother rushed to her baby, licking the dirt and grime from its fur as it squirmed in her embrace. The man felt a swell of emotion as the mother and pup reunited, their love a stark contrast to the indifferent world around them. He knew he had made a difference, a small act of kindness in an otherwise unforgiving night. But as he looked around, the reality of his own situation set in. He was miles from home with no way to get there, and the two of them still had a journey ahead. The dog looked up at him as if sensing his thoughts. It whined softly, then turned to the abandoned house. The man wondered if they had taken shelter there before and if it would be safe for them to rest. He limped back to his car, the adrenaline from the rescue fading and the pain from his own injuries setting in. He found a blanket in the back seat and gently wrapped it around the mother and her pup. They curled up together, the warmth a small comfort against the cold. The man called a local animal rescue, explaining the situation through gritted teeth as the pain from his bruised ribs made it difficult to speak. He knew he couldn't leave them here, not after what they had been through. As they waited, the retriever nudged his hand with her snout, offering silent thanks. He petted her, feeling a strange kinship with the creature who had led him here. The pup, feeling the warmth and safety, let out a sigh and closed its eyes. The sound of sirens grew louder, and soon, a van pulled up, the headlights illuminating the scene. Two women in green overalls climbed out, their faces a mix of concern and determination. They assessed the situation quickly and set to work, tending to the mother's injuries with gentle hands. The pup was placed in a basket, its tiny eyes peeking out as it was carried away. The man watched, his heart heavy, as the dog was loaded into the van. Before it disappeared, the golden retriever looked back at him, a look that seemed to say, "Thank you." The rescue workers offered him a ride to the nearest hospital, insisting he get checked out. As he climbed into the van, the man felt a strange sense of accomplishment mingled with sadness. He had done what he could, but the thought of never seeing the dogs again was hard to bear. Yet, as the van pulled away, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something much bigger. The night had changed him, opening his eyes to the plight of animals in need and the depths of compassion that lay within him. Little did he know, this encounter would lead him down a path he never expected, forever altering the course of his life. At the hospital, the doctor confirmed what he feared: 2 broken ribs and a sprained ankle. The pain was intense, but the memory of the dog's gratitude was a balm to his spirit. He called a taxi, giving the driver the address of the animal rescue center instead of his own home. He needed to ensure the mother and pup were okay. The ride was a blur of pain and anticipation, the city lights flickering by like stars in a tumultuous sky. Upon arriving, the receptionist recognized him immediately. She led him to a small, dimly lit recovery room where the golden retriever lay, her leg in a cast. The pup was nestled beside her, both fast asleep. The sight brought a smile to his face despite the pain. The vet, a kind-faced woman named Dr. Laura, updated him on their condition. The pup had only minor bruises but was dehydrated and scared. The mother was in surgery, her leg needing pins to mend the break. She promised to call him with updates. The man found himself lingering, unable to tear his gaze away from the sleeping animals. Dr. Laura suggested he go home and rest, promising to take good care of them. With a heavy heart, he agreed, but not before leaving his contact information and a hefty donation to cover their expenses. He knew he'd be back as soon as he could. As he hobbled out of the center, the night air washing over him, he felt a strange emptiness. The bond formed with the dogs was unexpected and profound, and it was clear he couldn't just walk away. Over the next few days, the man returned to the center religiously. He brought food, blankets, and even a few toys for the pup, which he had learned was a she and had been named Hope by the staff. He sat by the mother's side, speaking softly and offering comfort. He watched as Hope grew stronger, her curiosity piquing as she explored her temporary home. Each visit was a reminder of the desolate road and the fateful night that had brought them together. The man, whose name was Jack, realized that the dogs had become his purpose, a beacon in the darkness of his own life that had been lacking direction until now. The days turned into weeks and the weeks into a month. The mother dog, whom the staff named Grace, made a remarkable recovery, her spirit undiminished despite the ordeal. Hope grew into a playful, energetic pup under the watchful eye of her mother and the gentle care of Jack. The staff at the center were touched by the bond between the two and offered Jack the chance to adopt them. The offer was tempting, but he knew he couldn't keep them. His apartment was too small and his job too demanding. Yet, every time he visited, it became harder to say goodbye. One evening, as Jack sat with the dogs, a young couple entered the center. They had lost their home in a fire and were searching for a pet to help them heal. Grace and Hope's tails began to wag as the couple approached, and it was clear they had found their new family. The woman's eyes filled with tears as she thanked Jack for saving them. He watched as the dogs were led away, their tails wagging in excitement. A pang of loss pierced his heart, but it was quickly replaced by joy. He had given them a chance at a new life, a life filled with love and care. The story of Jack and the dogs spread through the town, inspiring others to get involved in animal rescue. He began to visit schools, sharing his experience and advocating for the voiceless creatures who needed help. His life had taken on new meaning, and with every rescue he assisted in, he felt a piece of himself heal. The abandoned house and the desolate road had been the catalyst for a journey that led him to understand the true value of compassion and the unbreakable bond between humans and animals. And so, Jack continued to drive the lonely highways at night, his eyes peeled for any sign of animals in distress. He had become a guardian of the road, a silent sentinel for those who could not speak for themselves. The golden retriever and her pup had taught him that every creature, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, deserved a chance at happiness. And with each life he touched, Jack knew that he was not just saving animals, but also saving a part of himself that had been lost in the shadows of the night.